Spencer Gallup, how are we, sir?
What's up? How we doing?
Honestly, in a lot of ways, we are doing so fantastic. You know, this week is our highly coveted week. We've been really looking forward to this week because we're going to be covering a conference that means the most to us. But as
Yep.
well, just outside of the football world, how could I not be excited? You know what I mean? As people know from our previous shows who I like in NBA, in basketball, I am a Miami Heat fan, so
Yeah, that's
Giannis Antetokounmpo finally in South Beach. I had the jersey pre-ordered in 2023. I can now finally get it. It came out my card here eventually. Just finally withdrew out of my account, but um, feels good there. It feels very,
yeah.
very
They got
good. You know,
they'll be having the Rizzler and Big Justice at two and the three
and
spot.
if they can make shots, it's Miami. We've proven that we can have Big Justice and them shoot the ball, and they still average 18 to 20 points a game for Miami, and then they get
Giannis,
big
Bam and
deals.
friends. It's Giannis and Bam and
When you
friends.
have the second best scorer of all time with Giannis, let's be serious here. Okay?
My one thing is, where does this put Miami? I guess obviously with the free agency, not to happen yet, but like right now, where would this have Miami in the East? Top what?
If you look at the
Are they
roster
better
where it's
than the
currently
Knicks?
at, they're not better than the Knicks, no.
Boston?
You can't really judge this Miami team yet because the roster's truthfully just not built out. You have to judge it
But how
once it's
much
built
more are
out.
they really going to do? How much more are they really going to get? Like, obviously, they're going to lose Norman Powell in this offseason. Davion Mitchell's going to be the one. Your two and your three. Andrew Wiggins is probably going to return. He'll be your three. And then shooting guard, Chris Middleton, maybe. It'll probably be a
Probably.
vet minimum guy. They don't have the money for a whole lot.
I know they don't, but they're gonna build out, and their thing is you can get shooters for cheap. So I'm not really too pressed on what Miami's gonna be able to do because if there's any franchise that's gone out there and showed they could throw anybody on the court and win, it's Miami. So I
Yeah.
have full faith, and they now have that superstar in Giannis. They have a top 5 player in the NBA when he's playing and he's healthy. So that's all Miami's really needed the last 8 years is a true superstar. They had the players, but now they gave all those players up for the superstar. Now you just need to
Yep.
recoup it. Miami's been able to prove that. 2 minutes of basketball talk's all we need over here at the Scoop and Score Football Show. Welcome everybody back here. Episode 36 of the Scoop and Score Football Show. Before we get into today's episode, as we did say, it is our MAC preview episode. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Currently in the last month, over 99% of you guys who have viewed our channel are not subscribed.
It's crazy.
So make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel, please.
That's
Over
crazy.
99% of you in the last month, I
Basically
repeat
everybody.
myself, basically every single person who has viewed our YouTube channel is not subscribed. So please subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it. We continue to have growth in our subscription count. We appreciate the love. So please go ahead and subscribe right now before we even get into the rest of today's content. Hit that push notification bell to stay up to date on all of our new videos. Go follow us on our social media channels at Ball N Beatz Media on Instagram, TikTok, and X. Go do that.
Right now.
Spencer, how is your week?
Hogan.
Since we've kind of discussed about my
It's been
exciting
pretty
week.
good. It's been pretty good. I can't complain. The weather's been up and down as it normally is. It's really warm outside, but it's a comfortable warm. It's not awful. Mowed the grass the other day. Um, Nothing too exciting, honestly. Work. It's
That's
pretty
good.
much it.
That's good.
It's just that, you get into a routine, you do the same things, but it's all
That's
right.
true.
Sports wise, Tigers were hot. Now they're starting to lose again.
Good thing, I was going to say this, Spencer. Good thing you are not breaking and entering and kidnapping folks, okay? Good thing you're not doing that. Good thing
uh,
you don't have $250,000 of jewelry that got stolen from you and you said, you know what? We're going to barricade people in and we're going to kidnap them.
Keith Abney the third is going to be my starting cornerback too, and DJ Reed's going to be one because Terry and Arnold. I don't know what the hell is wrong with this dude. I never understand athletes like this. Like, you're making millions of dollars. Why do you got to act tough out off the field and all this stuff? Like, you have all this money. Don't ruin it. like it's so easy to realize how blessed you are and then just completely throw it away because I don't know the whole story. I know it was a group of people who were not good with Terry and Arnold, and they had a whole thing about him setting up this kidnapping. I don't even know what you want to call it. The whole thing's ridiculous. And it's the fact that I got excited for this dude on draft night. He had every single Lions fan bought into him from day one because of him going out saying, I'm home, in front of the draft stage and all of Detroit when they traded up to go get him. And I was excited. And the fact that this dude, not only on the field has he been not good, off the field, there's just been headlines all the time and it gets to be a headache. Like, he's a I don't even want to say below average corner. He can make some plays in man coverage, but he's an awful zone coverage corner. He can't cover. He gets too handsy on the field. He's very, very particular in the way he plays. He holds defensive pass interference all the time. And it's just like, honestly, I would just cut my losses and be done with him. I'm tired of it. Like he's not going to get any better because he can't get it. If you're not going to get better off the field, how do I know you're going to get better on the field? So
Yeah.
it's just been a crisis with this dude. And
Something I know
I
way
like
too
Keith
much about with
Abney.
Cleveland, so.
I like Keith Abney from Arizona State. I think he'll be a fine player to slot in there. You can get, Avonte Maddox to kind of slip in, get some, get a couple drives in as well. But
Right.
it's been crazy, man. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of all the BS with Terry and Arnold all the time. There's always something, and he always is complaining about something, or he's blaming everybody but himself for his holding calls, his DPIs, everything. They drafted a player and they missed. You're not going to hit on all of them. Not every
Right.
draft is going to be the Lions 23 draft, where they drafted 4 straight All Pros or Pro Bowlers in their first 2 rounds. You're going to have misses, and they missed with him. It's simple. Um, Now you move on and you go into the season and figure some things out. Like, it's as simple as that. But I'm tired of all the headlines all the time. I saw that I just shook my head. I'm just like, we're doing this again because it's not like this is the first time this popped up.
Right. I
It's
was
been
going to
an
ask.
ongoing thing for months, and we haven't
Yeah.
heard anything in a while. We
Right.
haven't heard anything
This
in a
is
while
stemming
because
from the
we
same
figured he was.
incident.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the same incident from months ago where his friends got charged and prosecuted with charges of kidnapping and domestic violence because of the fact that they were a part of it. Terry and Arnold kind of said, "No, it's not me. It's not a part of me." And now they reinvestigate it. They get some new information, realize he's kind of the headmaster of it, allegedly. It's innocent until proven guilty, like every other case. But he has his headshot out. He had his hearing, I believe, today. It doesn't look good for Terry. And even when he comes back, it's like, as a teammate, especially with the way the Lions play, the Lions are like a head down, just go to work team. They don't have a lot of drama
Grit,
on this.
man.
Yeah,
Grit.
grit and balls, and grit, toughness, and Detroit toughness, and all that stuff.
At least he's tough
And
off the field.
he's, yeah, because no, obviously not. But he doesn't. He's starting to no longer fit the culture of this team, and I think it's something's going to be said at some point. And he might play this year. He might get by because NFL players. I mean, Rashee Rice crashed into a family at going 120 miles per hour, ran the scene, and then was back. The next couple days. So it really doesn't matter what you do in the NFL. When you have a ton of money, you can get out of damn near everything. But I don't know how Dan Campbell's going to react to this. I don't know how Brad Holmes is going to react to this. Um, Corner's been an issue for a couple years, and they signed DJ Reed, and they got drafted a couple players, so they have depth. But it's the fact that this was supposed to be the guy that was supposed to step in, be your corner one, and now he has all this off the field drama, all this trouble, and you don't know if he's going to get better. Not only as a player, but as himself.
Right.
Like he's going through a lot. I hope he gets better. I hope he's innocent. I hope he's not a part of it. But I mean, hey, if he is and he has to serve time, hey, that's on you, man. Like, you got all this money. You were a first round pick. It's not like you were, getting table scraps like a 7th-round pick like Brock Purdy, who had to work his way from being Mr. Irrelevant to getting a massive contract. You're a 1st-round pick. You're getting money, and you got a 5th-year team option if you play well, and then on top of that, you'll get another extension if you're that guy. Because the Lions are a team that they love their own players. They love keeping their talent, and they love keeping their guys.
Right.
And he just hasn't fit it. It's as simple as that. And that podcast that he does, it's so funny. There's a cornerback, a podcast. It's with Patrick Surtain, who is arguably one of the best defensive players in the league, the best corner in the league from Denver, and then Terry Arnold. You have opposite ends of the spectrum on this, and you have Terrian trying to talk to Patrick Surtain, like, oh yeah, this cover. I'm like, dude, you don't know shit. Like, stop. Just get out of my face. Patrick Surtain is worth 1,000 of you, dude. Like, get out of here.
Sounds like a bitter Lions fan to me. That's what I'm hearing. But
I wanted Quinyon, and look what Quinyon's doing in Philly. He's doing great.
Of course, you wanted Quinyon Mitchell. Duh, we already knew that. Y'all missed out on the chance to go up and get him, though. It's on you. That's on the Lions.
Annoying. Absolute asinine. But oh well, Logan says we're going to win 9 straight football games, so I'm okay.
Exactly. You're going to be just fine. The Lions are going to be perfect. They're going to go 11-6. They're going to be fighting here for the NFC North title yet again. Okay? As long as they have good corners. As long as Avonte Maddox could be sort of decent, you'll be okay.
Fine. Yeah.
He's a fine player. He's
nothing special.
Beater.
He's not like great, but he's okay.
He's a serviceable guy. He did very decent at times in Philadelphia. He also had moments where it wasn't great in Philly either, but
nope.
That
and
happens.
Keith Abney is going to get some playing time too. And I know you liked him too, because we had him in like the 2nd round in our mock draft.
Yeah, we did. We were higher on Keith
round.
Abney. Yeah, he was like an early 4th round pick.
Yeah.
I had Keith Abney up there in my top 100 prospects in the draft. So I think he was in the early 90s. If I can remember correctly, I think I had him at 92 overall on my prospect board. So yeah, I really like the kid. I think he'll do pretty decent. So we will have to see there. But the future of the NFL runs through the Mid-American Conference. It runs through Amherst, Massachusetts. It runs through Sacramento, California, which, yes, that is Mid-America, by the way. Both of those towns are Mid-America. They run through Bowling Green, Ohio. They run through Kent, Ohio. They run through what was DeKalb, Illinois, but now Muncie, Indiana, too. The Mid-American Conference. It is here. We've previewed every other G5 conference, and now we're on our beloved conference, the one that is home for us, the Mid-American Conference. Here we go. Spencer, I think you and I are going to probably be in agreement with dead last at number 13. So I think we should just say it on command in 3, okay? 1, 2, 3. UMass.
Ball State. Oh, wow. Okay, we don't.
We don't have the same 13. That's actually shocking. Okay, so Spencer, you have Ball State. Okay, go for it.
I just think Ball State. I mean, to be fair, I'll just say this: UMass is 12th. UMass is the next one for me.
Okay.
These two teams, it's like trash against garbage. Like it's too. I'm not going to say that. These two teams are awful. They are the worst in this league. I have a firm belief it can't get worse for UMass. That they have to get a little better.
I mean, they were 0-12 last season.
0 for 12. They got to get a couple wins this season. Ball State, to me, it just seems like they won the MAC in what year? It was a 2020. Was it 20?
They won the MAC around that range of like 2019, 2020. I can't remember the exact year.
Yeah,
but they haven't been the same since. They really
haven't been the same since Mike is it Uremovich?
Mike Uremovich. Yep.
Mike Uremovich. He's brought in like a couple FCS transfers from Dartmouth with Jacob Judy from Concord, Austin Steve from Davin. I mean, some of these schools I haven't even heard of.
You're talking like D2 schools even. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're getting below there, below the FCS level. You were right, by the way, before to continue. It was 2020. They beat Buffalo in 2020.
That's what I thought. But they haven't had a winning record since 2020, and they've had one double-digit SP plus ranking since 2014. Honestly, you could probably put Ball State and UMass the same level. I just think that UMass, I have a very special place in my heart for Amherst, Massachusetts, and for McGurk Family Memorial Stadium, because of Jalen John and
the beloved Jalen John and Tyson Pumachan. Let's be so serious
Tyson
here.
Pumachan.
We've got love for Tyson Pumachan around here. We have love for Jalen John. If Jalen John, I know you were at Coastal Carolina last season, and you've been at Arizona in your past as well.
He had to have been a 99 overall in college football.
He was a 99 overall when he was in the hands of the man, the myth, the legend himself, right here in this LSU Tiger shirt.
Yeah.
Jalen John, brother, I don't know where you are right now. You could still be playing college football for all that we know. I need a signed UMass jersey from you. Okay, can we make that happen? I want Jalen John right up here in this corner behind me that still has some open space. I need a Jalen John signed jersey right here. So please, can we make that happen? I have UMass at 13th at dead last because, for obvious reasons, they were 0-12 last year. You're not wrong. They can't get worse, and I think they will be better than 0-12. I do think they'll get a win or two.
Let's go. Yep.
I don't see much else happening outside of that.
Do Ball State and UMass play each other this year?
Let's double check.
I'm gonna look that up.
I think they do. We did not look at that previously. Let's see here.
Yep, they do.
They do.
November 4th, 26th, they play in Amherst.
Midweek Maction. Midweek Maction at McGurk on a Wednesday night.
Okay.
Are we making that game?
That's boots on the ground.
That is boots on the ground game right there.
We might be the only people in attendance at that game. That's okay.
UMass this year, though, they are going to be led by former Toledo Rocket quarterback R.J. Johnson III, who last year was the starting quarterback for the Rattlers of Florida A&M. So they might have better quarterback play than they've had recently, but it's still UMass. There's nothing else I can really say besides it's UMass. I just can't see them not finishing in last place because it's UMass. But if they don't, congrats UMass, honestly. If they're not last in the MAC, congrats to UMass. You had Ball State at number 13. I have Ball State at number 12. So the Cardinals, right? They have 4 returning starters from last year's squad combined over their offense and defense, which is, to be honest, in the MAC, you see a lot more turnover compared to some other conferences. So that's not totally out of stretch, out of line for some of these other teams. There's going to be turnover in the MAC. It just always happens that way. But for Ball State, it's what they have coming in. You don't have a lot of talent necessarily coming in. But I will say, if there's going to be a strength of the Cardinals team, it's going to be their trenches. It's going to be the offensive line, and it's going to be the defensive line. Those are going to be the strengths of this team, and they could possibly overperform because of that. I still don't have a lot of faith in this program. We have some good friends of the program now down at Ball State, and I know that morale for this football program down in Muncie, Indiana is not too high right now. So I don't think to expect a lot from Ball State. They could overperform, but you and I both kind of are in similar agreements there for the Cardinals.
Yeah. And real quickly, with me having UMass at 12, I do want to say a stat that I think is actually very, very impressive for a team that went 0-12, and also is another reason why I think they will be maybe like a slight hair better than Ball State. UMass went 0-12 last year, but they were 62nd in FBS in turnovers, and they were 23rd in penalty yards per game. They didn't make mistakes.
No, they didn't.
The one thing is they were very, very calm and collected. They were not, and had that a dude, like they were normally down like 14-0 within the first 3 minutes of the game.
Yes.
But they didn't make mistakes. They avoided turnovers and they avoided penalty yards. And I think that's something to be said about Joe Horizmiak. in his second year, since he's going to get a couple wins. But I think that had to do a little bit to do. I thought that was very impressive for a team that didn't have a win last year. But yeah, at number 11, I have the team that should not be in the Mid-American Conference because it goes completely against what the MAC's all about, Sacramento State. The new FCS to FBS jump, Sacramento State is paying a ton of money to the MAC to be in the FBS. And it's good for the MAC. They're getting a lot of funding, especially each team. Sacramento State's paying a lot though. But I guess that's what you get when you want a California team to be in the Mid-American Conference. It's Alonzo Carter's year in Sacramento State. They weren't very good. Well, I guess they had their times where they had did you know that Cam Scadaboo?
Cam Scadaboo was an absolute legend, an absolute Hornet legend. Yes. Yep. He was very good. They've made the postseason in the past at the FCS level. They've had decent teams. Last year wasn't necessarily all that great for them, though, but they've had moments where they've had pretty good success down there at the FCS level.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're bringing a couple of transfers in. They got Davian Godley from Weber State. A lot of Weber State players.
It's all Weber State. It's all West Coast FCS players.
There's some Portland State players, Lafayette. They got some San Diego State, Colorado, UCLA. Amari Walls from Miami.
Noah King as well, another player, both at corner that I like both those players.
But they're only favored in 2 games this year against Mississippi Valley State and UMass.
Not the Delta Devils.
The Delta Devils.
Delta Devils and Sac State. That might be
also
game of the century.
The stadium is not in a great area of town. So yeah, it's gonna be a rough first year for Sacramento State. They're not ready for midweek action in Muncie, Indiana, or Bowling Green, Ohio, or Ypsilanti, Michigan, Buffalo, New York. There's a lot. Amherst, Massachusetts. Don't matter where they're going. You're not ready for those Wednesday, Thursday games, even Tuesday games in the MAC. So it's going to be a rough first year for Sac State. But they have a really cool rivalry
with Ball State.
Yeah.
Ball State first, obviously. You and I agree at number 11. It is Sacramento State. Now, I will add this little caveat. I think they could potentially benefit from the fact that teams will have to travel to the West Coast and play them.
Yeah,
now, obviously, they are paying for everybody to come out there still, which obviously isn't necessarily an advantage. But the travel for these programs hasn't always necessarily fared out that well all the time. For a Toledo, for for a Kent State, for any of these teams in the MAC to go out west and try and win, it's difficult. And to be honest, you have seen some of that even at the Power 4 level in the Big Ten with teams going out on the West Coast and trying to win. And it kind of adds up. And you still see it in the NFL with teams trying to go out on the West Coast and win. Typically, teams from the West Coast have a better time traveling out east. Now, I do think Sac State will benefit from that. Having said that, it's their first year at the FBS level. They weren't all that good last year. They have a lot of turnover this season. So I think there's not a lot of real potential in 2026. And obviously, we will have to see moving forward with the Hornets how good they will be in this conference. I expect them to be eventually a little bit better than where they're at right now.
Yeah.
Let's get in the top 10.
Number 10 for me is the Akron Zips. Joe Moorhead's in his 5th year. He's 13-35 overall. So it has not been smooth sailings for him, but
last year might have been the best coaching job anyone ever did.
He did a really good job last year in 2025, and they had a postseason ban too. So
the fact they won 5 games, I gotta bow down to Joe Moorhead for that, because
5-7 is a pretty good year at Akron most years. Just because of they didn't have a lot. And Joe Moorhead, I don't think Moorhead's like a bad coach. I just think it's just such a crappy situation there in Akron.
Yes.
But in 2026, he's going to need a new starting quarterback. It's probably either going to be Braden Regau or Reese Poffenbarger.
Shout out Reese
Poffenbarger. 5th school in 6 years.
Albany
Um,
Great Dane legend. Okay, and he was I think last at North Texas. I'm pretty certain he was Drew Mestamaker's backup last season. Um, and he's been at other programs in his past
yeah.
too. So he's been around the block a couple times, and he's an exciting guy potentially here if he can play like he did at Albany. I think 3 years ago. Um,
They got 1,000-yard rusher Jordan Gant returning. They have two sophomores in Marcel Williams and Kyan Mason.
yep,
The line returns 3 of the 8 players who started game last year. Um, and they have the veteran Branch brothers as in the secondary with Alex and Ami. I think it's how you say it.
I think so.
Ami. It's Aamii. So however you say that. And the front six returns Cyrus Durham and Ronald Hull. So they did lose their linebackers though. But the problem with me with Akron is I don't really see like a massive jump. I mean, I think 5-7 was as good as you're gonna get. At least right now with the roster that they have in place, and even last year, that was a miracle that they won 5 games. I think that's their absolute ceiling this year. I don't think they're going to be good again. I don't have a lot of confidence in their quarterback situation. Poffenbarger's fifth school in 6 years is crazy. Their running game will be decent, and I think that they have some weapons on offense.
They
But it's going to
absolutely
be
have some
it's
weapons.
going to be there's a lot better teams in the MAC and a lot of teams that I trust a lot more than Akron currently. So while I don't think they're going to be horrific like some of the bottom 3 teams, I see max 5 wins. If I had to predict like 3-9, probably maybe 4-8.
I hate agreeing with you again, but number 10 for me is also Akron. And it's for the same thing. Now, I will say this. I fully believe there is a chance for Akron to make that jump because of this coaching staff, because of the coaching job that Moorhead has done, because of the talent that is back offensively with Gant and with Marcel Williams. Marcel Williams might be, on paper, some people might say he might be the best wide receiver in the MAC coming back this year. Obviously, there's been a lot of turnover at some other schools in the MAC, and there might be better talent eventually down the road. Marcel Williams might be the best returning wide receiver in this conference. Um, so Akron's got some serious weapons there. The problem, like you said, is some of these other schools' track records. You can have higher faith in some of these other schools to just do better than Akron. Now, Akron, a couple years ago, they had some moments where they were pretty good. They've had moments in the early or mid 20 teens. They had some very good squads then. Early 2020s, they had some moments, but they've been
Made the
really
MAC
bad
title game
too.
in 2017 against Toledo.
They've been really bad. They've been very bad, even worse
Horrific.
than Kent at some times. But I'm circling Akron, even though I have them at 10th. They're one of those teams for me that would not surprise me if they do end up finishing in like the top 7 or top 8 of this conference when it's all said and done. I just cannot put that full faith into this program quite yet.
That is fair. At number 9, I have their crosstown rival in the Kent State Golden Flashes. Um, I know you are massive on their quarterback, and he did have a good freshman year last year in Drew DeShields.
Yes.
They're bringing back Wayne Harris. They're bringing back 3 starting offensive linemen and some safeties, and Derek Jackson III and Joel Cordoba. But the entire rest of their team is rough. They had to do heavy work in the portal this year, and they don't have a massive budget there in Kent, Ohio. Um,
No, they don't.
and it's not like they were a good team last year. They went 5-7, same thing as Akron. Now, I do think DeShields can take a step, and I do think he will be one of the better quarterbacks in the MAC. The problem is the rest of this team's really bad. Their defensive line is very bad. Their secondary outside of those 2 safeties is not great. They get Darius Clark back, which is kind of fun. That's a fun name to say.
He is the
And
realist.
but they don't have they don't have a good team. They have a couple pieces on the offense and the defense, but overall as a team, they're not good at all. And while I do think that there's a way that they could get to 6-6 because of the Shields and possibly make a bowl game, I don't expect Kent State to make some massive jump with this roster because they lost. I mean, they don't have a lot. And with the players that they do have, not awful. Like I said, DeShields, Wayne Harris. They have a couple starting offensive linemen coming back, but their D line is bad. Their linebackers aren't good. Their corners aren't good. They just have a rough team overall with some gems in there and some pieces. So while I do think that Kent State could make a bowl game, I don't expect them to be great by any means. Even with Drew DeShields, I believe having another solid year there in Kent, Ohio. So I have Kent State at 9.
Number 9 for me is a program that has been very good. They have a coach who's been very consistent. Last year, they had a lot of hype, and they definitely didn't live up to it. And I think that team was a lot better, and they've lost some talent heading into this year. And I didn't necessarily think they've been able to recoup the talent that they've lost. And so I do think this program will take a step back. Number 9, I have the Bulls of Buffalo. At quarterback, it's either going to be probably Mason Cumbie or Wingate quarterback transfer Elijah Holmes. They did lose Red Murdoch. Red Murdoch may have been one of the more fun MAC players to watch in the last decade at linebacker. They don't necessarily have the person to replace him. They have a very good secondary returning. That might be one of the better units on any defense in this conference is their secondary. But outside of that, I'm kind of worried about this Buffalo team this year. I'm not that high on them.
Okay, fine. At number 8, I have the Eagles of Eastern Michigan. Chris Creighton's been there for 13 years. He's had a couple good years. Eastern Michigan in 2022, they came close to the MAC title game. I believe they went like 9-4.
Yes.
They had a really good year in 2022, but they've never been able to get over the hump. They haven't won the MAC with them there. I think the last time they won the MAC was like 1970, 60 something.
Been a
I
long
don't know.
time.
It's been a long time.
It was when
made
the Eastern Michigan Hurons were playing football, not the Eagles, for sure.
It was rough. But they're bringing back Noah Kim.
They are bringing back Noah Kim.
Noah Kim was decent, and for the MAC, that is.
It is,
They're
yeah.
returning 5 offensive starters.
They have the highest return rate out of any team in this conference.
Yeah. I think they'll be decent. My whole thing is how decent can they be? Their defense, they have a lot of experience on defense. They got 9 linemen, 4 linebackers, and 12 defensive backs who all started one game last year, and they're bringing back more than half of those guys. They got 17 of those 25 combined starters returning, which is crazy to think about for a MAC school getting that much returning. Carter Evans, Warren Stevens-Tayu, Zach Mauchan, they're bringing back a ton of guys. My whole thing with Eastern Michigan is how I don't expect a whole lot, even with them. I just think there's better teams. Eastern Michigan to me screams 6-6. I think Eastern Michigan will make a bowl game. I just don't think they'll get much better than 6-6. Chris Creighton has proved himself a couple years here and there. And I think Noah Kim's a fine quarterback for the MAC. But how better? There's better quarterbacks. Like I think Drew DeShields is better than Noah Kim. I just think Eastern has a slightly better team overall than Kent State. So I'm going to go with Eastern Michigan here, number 8.
Number 8 for me is also a program that we've seen be very good in the MAC, and they've still kind of overperformed, I would say, mixed with all the turmoil that feels like they've kind of had as a program recently. And I'm ranking them this low, not because I trust this program maybe a lot more than others. How much more can this program really take? They're now on their 4th head coach in the 2020s. A lot of turnover again. I've got the Ohio Bobcats at number 8. Of course, Brian Smith replaced Tim Albin, whatever his name is, Philbin. I forget his name off the top of my head, who went to Charlotte, and obviously we see how it's going in Charlotte. Brian Smith, after a year, fired for misconduct, Sharon Moore style stuff, not to the same degree, obviously. But now you have John Hauser coming in, and like I said, he's their 4th head coach now in the 2020s. Now, their defense is returning a lot, which will be a very good thing for them. They're debating who the starting quarterback will be. Will it be Nick Pulhos? Pulos? It looks like Pulhos. It's Pulos, something like that. Or Matt Visa, transfer kid. So they have a lot returning on defense. They've got DJ Walker back. They have Jack Fries back. Charlie Christopher back. Michael Mornar back. Kendall Bannister back. All great players. But how much better are they going to be? Are they really going to be that good this year? I don't know. I have serious questions about the Bobcats. I just think there's been too much turnover consistently at this program, where I think some of these other programs, like a Eastern Michigan, who has the team, the camaraderie back, where you have a team like Kent State, where you have really good quarterback play and a lot of hype built up in the program right now that they feel like they could take that next jump. A team like Bowling Green, who right now is having very good recruiting and very good in the transfer portal. And of course, some of these other programs like Western Michigan, who's clearly one of the best in conference. Miami's been pretty much the best consistency the last 3-4 years under Chuck Martin. I really question Ohio right now. They're going to be at number 8.
Number 7 for me, OU. Kind of basically the same reasons you put. There's so much turnover with this program, with the amount of head coaches. I think it's going to take a toll at some point. And while I don't think they're going to be bad by any means because they are returning, they're returning some players, but most of them are receivers. They had to bring in a lot of portal guys. They are a consistent program, and that's kind of what I'm putting my banking it on. I would have had them lower if it wasn't. I just think that this program has established themselves as one of the, they're going to be decent in the MAC. OU doesn't have a whole lot of bad seasons. Like they won, I mean, heck, they won the MAC 2 years ago. But with the amount of head coaches this team loses year in and year out, it's crazy. I mean, they lost their one. Who the Tim Albin? They lost to Charlotte.
I think Philbin. Is it Philbin? Why am I blanking right now on his name?
Tim Albin, Tim Philbin, whoever it was, he left for Charlotte, and that's a downgrade. I think that's a downgrade. I think OU's a much better program than Charlotte. And I might be biased. I just think OU has established themselves as one of the premier programs in the MAC, and I have some faith in them to kind of stay the course, be 6-6, 7-5 this year. Just because, I mean, they've been doing it with new head coaches. But I don't think they're going to be much better
Tim Albin,
than some of these teams in the top. Just because I think that there's more talent on some of these teams than people think. So I have OU at 7 for basically the same reasons.
It is Tim Albin. That's right. I don't know why I was thinking Philbin.
Was it Tim Albin? Yeah, that's what
I'm thinking of Joe Philbin, I think, who coaches in the NFL. Number 7 for me is a team that you've already said, a team who I'm pretty high on. Number 7 is the Golden Flashes of Kent State, and not Kent Staten, the new Toledo Rocket.
Kent State.
Mark Carney in year 1, taking this team 5-7 as an interim head coach, albeit now transitions to full-time head coach for this program. It feels like there's now a foundation really built or starting to be built in Kent, Ohio. Yeah. And Drew DeShields, in my opinion, is the best returning quarterback in the MAC on paper. He's the best returning quarterback. Not best in conference necessarily, but the best who's returning from last season. Obviously, a lot of portaling happened with this roster. You're going to have to at Kent State. But I believe in the direction they're heading in. I really like the foundation being set under Carney. It feels like there's actual direction with this program that hasn't necessarily been there the last couple of years. And with a quarterback like DeShields, you have a legit chance. Watch out for the Golden Flashes this year. I've got them at number 7.
At number 6, I have a team that I'm a little bit higher on than you are, and that's the Buffalo Bulls. With Coach Pete Lembo, I have a lot of faith in this guy. He's won at everywhere he goes. He led Lehigh and Elon to the FCS playoffs in the 2000s. He won 33 games at Ball State. He's just been a winner wherever he goes. And while Buffalo is having some turnover, and it's especially on offense, they need to see if the transfer from Wingate, Elijah Holmes, is going to be as good as he was in Division II. Yeah. They're returning a really good secondary, and their defense is returning a good amount of starters as well. Their question is going to be the offense this year. That's going to be how good are they going to be. I'm basing this off the fact that I do think that Elijah Holmes is going to win the job over Jason Wright and Mason Cumbie. But and they have a new coordinator in Tony Takars, who I think is going to have a decent offense for this team this year. They have a lot of turnover on that offense, but that can also be a really good thing. This defense is very solid overall, and I think Buffalo is going to have a decent year this year.
Number 6 for me is our beloved arch nemesis, from where we went to college. The Bowling Green State University Falcons. Eddie George in year 2, I expect it to be much better than it was in year 1. Obviously, beating Toledo is a very good thing, but going 4-8
What a
isn't
joke we
necessarily
lost.
a great thing. Now, they have, as I said, the best recruiting class in the conference coming in, the best transfer portal class ranking wise as well coming into 2026. And you have a quarterback who was just behind maybe one of the best, if not the best, in college football, and Dante Moore and Austin Novosad coming into the program. Who knows if he will be the starting quarterback or not? That still remains to be seen. But there's a lot to like about this team right now. There's a lot, defensively and offensively. Specifically, I would say defensively more than anything. But if their offense can maximize the potential that is on this roster, Bowling Green, I think, is a very, very, very good team to watch in this conference this year. And it just feels like the trajectory for this program is continuing to go up with Eddie George as head coach.
Yeah, at number 5, I have Bowling Green. For the same things you said, Eddie George brought in the number 1 recruiting class in the MAC and transfer portal class. Brought in guys like Kamarian Baldwin from Charleston Southern, Isaiah Dawson from Richmond, Armin Hale from New Mexico State, and obviously I could talk about Austin Novosad from Oregon, who he learned behind Dante Moore, so he can't be all that bad. I mean, we'll see,
Right.
but he at least got to learn something. Their biggest question mark was their offense was horrific
It was
last year.
awful. It was
Their quarterback
awful.
play was some of the worst I've ever seen in my life, and of course they beat Toledo, and an absolute joke football game. One of the worst football games I've ever seen as a fan of the Rockets. In a second half, it was awful. But BG, I really like the direction Eddie George has his team in. I love their class they brought in. I love the direction. I think they're going to be much better this year. I think they're going to make a bowl game. They were pretty good for a bad team. I mean,
They
I
were
know that
one of
doesn't
the
make
better
sense.
4-8
Yeah,
MAC teams
like
you could have. Yes.
they were. Yeah, I mean you saw promise in some parts, like the defense. They only allowed 23.1 points per game in September. You had Miles Bradley, Eric George, Dorian Pringle. They had a very solid MAC unit, especially that defensive line was pretty decent. Now, their whole thing, this is a lot of potential more than it is proof with this team. This team has the potential to take that step. They might even have, if everything goes right, the potential to fight for that MAC title game. But we have to see it. Eddie George, I think, is going to do good things at BG. But it's a lot of upside with this team. That's their main issue. But their offense has to be better than it was last year because their defense was decent for the MAC, and they were in games most of the time. But their offense didn't score at all because their quarterback play was horrific. And I think that with Novosad, if he ends up being their quarterback, I think that they'll make a decent run at being one of the top teams in the MAC. So
number 5 for me is a team that you were a little bit lower on than I am. I'm really high on this team because I just think what they have returning is just it's great. It's great to see a team at the MAC just return so much talent. You just never really see it unless you're like Toledo or Miami or Western Michigan and you have conference championships and everyone wants to come back. Eastern Michigan is number 5 for me. Noah Kim, obviously, Michigan State legend. We already know about Noah Kim. And honestly, for a MAC quarterback, he's a very, very good MAC quarterback. Nick Devereaux, or Devereaux, I don't know how to say wide receiver's last name. He's going to be one of the better wide receivers in the conference. You have slot man Harold Mack, who could maybe build on a solid foundation. You have very good talent on this team, all returning more than anybody else in the conference this year. Ipsy hasn't had a lot to be excited about until now. I think this program is ready to make that jump towards that top end of the Mid American Conference this year. Obviously, Max Crosby might be to a game or two this year. They might be good enough. And they get to start off against the Hornets in week 0.
Yeah.
Which will give them a great start. Shout out the Eagles.
Shout out Grayfield.
And look at us having the same top 4. Oh boy. Here we go.
This is where, see, for me, number 1 was easy, but 2, 3, and 4 were the toughest.
Yes.
So number 4 for me is our team. I have Toledo at 4. Um, my main concern with Toledo is how much turnover this team really has. Um, we both of us love Mike Jacobs. We love the story. We love that he's a Northwest Ohio guy. He's done nothing but win at Mercer. He's bringing a bunch of FCS guys from Mercer with him. Um, I love the direction that they with of this team. I love the players they got in the portal. I don't love the quarterback play. John Allen Richter, you can say what you want about him. The times I've seen him play, he's very frantic. He can make some ill-advised throws, but he can also make some good ones. I really wanted Braden Atkinson, but that's a fever dream.
Yes, we
But
all know if Toledo got Braden Atkinson,
I would have had them
how
at
you would
2.
feel.
I would have
Yeah.
probably, because I still think there's a team that's the best because I can trust what they have. Um, but man, I'm so excited to see CJ Miller. I think he's going to be an absolute dog this year.
Yes.
Ajante Dabbs is going to be really good. Andrew Zock, who was the defensive player of the year in the FCS last year. I mean, they got Julian Fox and Isaac Prince, Caleb Hutchinson, a bunch of guys that are going to come in from Mercer who
Yes.
I think have proven themselves to be very good. And even some guys from out of, Calvin Gilbert Jr. from Southeast Missouri State. They got the Kamani Robinson guy from Lenore-Rhine.
He coached at Lenore-Rhine in his past too, so
Yep.
he's been at Lenore. When you're talking about Mike Jacobs, Lenore-Rhine, Notre Dame College at the D2 level before Lenore-Rhine,
Yeah.
obviously Mercer, and now back in his hometown. So,
The good thing, the good thing for Toledo is they're going to have really good competition at almost every single position. Because there is a bunch of guys on this roster who have yet to proven themselves at the FBS level. This team has the upside of winning the MAC in year 1 with Jacobs. Do I think it gets there? No, I don't, because I don't think everybody from Mercer is just going to come in and dominate the MAC like they dominated the FCS level.
yeah.
But I do think they have an exciting team this year. Toledo's going to be a fun team to watch. I'm really excited for this defense. This defense to me has the upside of being the best in the MAC because of the amount of transfers. If Julian Fox and Andrew Zock and some of the guys that they got, Caleb Hutchinson, pan out at the FBS level, man, it's going to be a fun team to watch. And the offense is going to be a question. I mean, both sides of the ball is going to be question mark. It's a lot of unproven guys, and that's going to be the big thing. But I trust Mike Jacobs to win with this team because Mike Jacobs has done nothing but dominate wherever he's at. And I'm not going to say he's going to dominate the FBS in year 1 because he won't. It's just not how things work. But at most, the expectation should be a bowl game. They should make a bowl game and possibly fight for the MAC title. I have a good amount of confidence they will, just because I love the way Jacobs has gone about his business. I love this roster construction he's had for year 1, the amount of players they got in the transfer portal, most be it from Mercer. But they all won at Mercer. So they come here, and this is kind of the direction that you've gotten in college football. You bring a bunch of your guys with you to a new team.
Look
It's
at
the same thing that happened with
Jason Eck, New Mexico.
Kurt Signetti. His first year at Indiana, he brought all those James Madison players, and they won 10 games. It's the way college football is right now. And, I think that there's a couple better teams that have proven themselves at the FBS level than Toledo. But I still think the Rockets are going to be a good team to watch. They're going to be a fun team. And I know losing Jason Candle for some fans was hallelujah, the bad man's gone. And some of them was, man, I think this is really going to hurt our recruiting trail. And it did. I mean, I think it's going to take a hit, but because Jason Candle, the thing you can say about him, he was a hell of a recruiter. He was great. But man, they could never get it right with Candle.
Consistently.
There was always something that happened with the team. There was always a bad loss, or there was always a player who didn't live up to expectations, someone who didn't get developed the correct way. And it always has happened. And yeah, he won the MAC in 2022. The only reason he won it is because Nathan Rourke didn't play for OU in the MAC title game. Nathan Rourke was the best quarterback in the MAC that year. They had to play their backup. And that was the only reason they won that year. I have a lot of faith in Mike Jacobs. I love the way he coaches in the past. He's a winner. He's a proven winner, and I hope he brings that to Toledo. So I have the Rockets at number 4.
You and I are in agreement again. You and I have had very similar picks. We've had some
Yeah.
here, no, but you and I are very similar in this thinking. Toledo at number 4. And before we go any further, I will do this. I will tip the cap still to Jason Candle, even though I
Yep.
feel he gets a lot of flack from alumni, from Toledo people because of the talent and
Expectations to
expectations.
reality. Yeah.
And yeah, there was always that one game or two games where it's like, how did we
They look
lose?
terrible. They look
But
terrible, and there was games that they should never have lost. Like the Bowling Green game last year.
yeah,
You never should have lost that
should have
game.
never lost that game. But the one thing, like you said, he could recruit. And no one recruited like Jason Candle did at Toledo in the MAC ever. That's never happened. They were the best recruited teams we've ever seen in the MAC on paper.
Consistently.
Consistently put out NFL talent. We've seen that
Retaining.
now in
And the
retaining
biggest
them.
thing, yeah, retaining guys from that could go to the transfer portal. Like the
Yes.
fact that they got to keep Quinyon Mitchell was unbelievable.
The fact that
I think,
Emmanuel McNeil Warren stayed too,
yep,
both of them. Both of them.
yep,
And that was really his position right there. Was the defensive backs, safety,
yep.
corner. He always had
Darius
elite talent
Alexander,
there.
another one. Yeah.
All of them. And so I want to tip the cap to Jason Candle just because I feel like he does get disrespected, albeit I can understand why with expectations.
Some of it's warranted,
Some of it's
but
warranted, but some of it's not. And he felt this. I feel like I know for a fact that Jason Candle himself felt slighted by the fan base and felt slighted a little bit in
yeah.
even the media because of it. It's like it's Toledo. It's a MAC school and all these expectations. So tip of the cap to Jason Candle and what he did at Toledo. He's the all-time winningest coach in the Rockets program history.
Yep.
So you have to pay his respects. He'll definitely be back at some point in his career just for some kind of Ring of Honor, some kind of something, you know what I mean? So Candle will obviously be back in some kind of degree. But it's the Mike Jacobs era. Now for the Rockets. Hometown kid from Maumee went to Maumee High School.
Shout out the Panthers.
And all the turnover, like you said, is cause for concern sometimes, but it's a bunch of guys that he knows, like you said.
Yep.
And I want to throw this out here. There's one position that I'm very, very high on for the Rockets, and that is the linebacker position. Because you
Yep.
have returning starter Langston Long, and if you pair him with Julian Fox, I think those two might be the best linebacker duo, have the potential to be one of the best linebacker duos in the G5, period.
Yep.
Period. I think those guys are that good, that talented. John Allen Richter will be starting quarterback too. Sorry, you can say what you were about to say.
No, and I think the biggest thing is like these guys were proven at the FCS level. And the one thing I will give Mike Jacobs, he beat out some big schools to get his guys back.
Like Andrew Zock.
Andrew Zock went and did a visit with Colorado, and I believe he had one with Virginia as well. And Toledo, beat him. These guys from Mercer, they all got offers from other schools.
Of course, there were others that did go, like the Braden Atkinson. Carmelo O'Neal is at Alabama.
The center, that's center who went to oh God, where'd he go? Mercer. He was an unbelievable freshman center. I can't remember his name, but he went somewhere else, and I wanted him in Toledo. I think he went to Virginia Tech, but he out recruited a lot of big name schools, and I do like seeing that, especially Zock. Zock was the big piece for this team.
Yes.
But I think they filled out a lot well. But you can keep going.
A guy I'm circling is a guy who was already on the team as well on offense. I know we've already talked about Agitate Dabbs, who's on paper set to be wide receiver 1. There were moments I was at the spring game. There were moments he had a couple drops. It didn't look great, but he also flashed exactly why he should be wide receiver 1. For Toledo people, for local Northwest Ohio people, here's a name, and it's Scott Bulldog Darrell Barnett Jr., wide receiver. He very clearly is going to be a presence on this offense and was very prevalent at spring training and has been very prevalent in practices. Darrell Barnett Jr. is going to be a serious player for this Rockets team in 2026. I'm going to guarantee that for you, okay? So circle Daryl Barnett Jr., CJ Miller. We already talked about CJ Miller.
Yeah, he's going to be a dog. I'm excited for
He
him.
is going to be a
A
bowling
bowling
ball.
ball.
That's what I called him. Bowling ball. He's going to be fun to watch. There is obviously other depth still in the running back room. You still have Connor Wallensack, who's returning, of course. There's others as well on the depth chart that did impress me. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I have my roster sheet somewhere. I don't know. It disappeared on me. I had a full roster sheet here for the Rockets, um, but there's a lot to like still for the direction of this program moving forward. It's just how will it be in year one? It's the only reason why they're at 4 and maybe not higher for me. But I still think with Mike Jacobs, he's giving a Jason Eck like experience where he wins wherever he's been,
Yep.
and just don't ever count him out.
Yep.
Mike Jacobs is going to be a superstar head coach, and
I think he's going to be at Toledo a max like 4 years.
I sadly agree. Maybe he stays longer because he's from Toledo.
Yeah.
But there's a legit possibility Mike Jacobs' tenure in Toledo is not too long.
Yeah.
So, top three. Top three. I wonder if our order is going to be the exact same. I hope it's not, but I hope it's not.
At number 3, I have Central Michigan.
Okay.
I have the Chippewas at number 3. Matt Drinkle had a really good first season in Central Michigan. They made a bowl game. They went 7-6. They were an Army team because Matt Drinkle came from Army,
Yes.
and their offense was basically getting the ball quickly out of Joe Labus's hands. But it worked out. I mean, they had a winning record. Their defense was very, very solid, but they went 7-2 with 2 tight losses and an average score of 29-16 against non-top 60 SP plus opponents,
which is rough. It's a little rough.
But
they don't need to worry about that this year.
I fully expect this team to continue. They have a lot of returning starters. Their offense I believe is going to improve. Their defense will regress a little bit because they only have 2 returning defenders that saw at least 250 snaps. But a decent recruiting class from getting in the FBS, guys from Campbell like Donovan Fallord, and junior defensive end Hunter Zirkle. I fully believe Central Michigan will be good. I think they're going to be very good this year for the MAC. They're kind of these top 4 teams are going to be very, very close to each other. I just think Central Michigan has proven it, or at least Matt Drinkle in his first year has proven it more than Mike Jacobs because Jacobs is going into his first year. I trust Central Michigan. They're not going to be an exciting team because
it's going to be like watching Navy, Army, Georgia Tech.
It's going to be a boring watch, but they're going to win. They're going to win, and they're going to make a bowl game. So I got CMU at number 3.
Number 3 for me is the Red Hawks of Miami, down there in Oxford, Ohio. Chuck Martin has been the purest form of consistency in this conference now that Jason Candle is gone. And Miami's off 3 straight MAC championship appearances. The one thing they just seem to never fully figure out is quarterback, which is pretty odd to say, but everything else around them's always been very good. And the question has always been offensively, not necessarily defense. You don't need to question defense under Chuck Martin. So with the offense this year, who's going to be quarterback 1? It's expected to be Thomas Godkowski. It sounds like he will be quarterback 1 for the Red Hawks. Running backs, you have Deshaunte Jones. You have Cade Yakimelli transferring in from Wisconsin. You have Rodney Nelson transferring in from Monmouth. There's questions on offense at wide receiver. And I know some of these guys personally pretty well because shout out being an offensive coordinator for the Red Hawks on the video game. Keith Reynolds, Lionel Billups Williams, and Braylon Isolm are probably guys that are going to have to step up for this Red Hawks at wide receiver this year because they've lost a lot of talent in the past. Shout out Javon Tracy. Javon Tracy was a very good player for them at the time when he was in the conference. But you can just never, ever not trust a Chuck Martin team to be very good and towards the top and potentially playing in Detroit. The Red Hawks are at number 3.
Same reason I have the Red Hawks at 2 on my list. Chuck Martin is the consistent coach in the MAC.
Yes.
And while overall he actually has a losing record, he's 72-74 for the
Yeah.
MAC. For the MAC that's decent because they have normally they have one or two buy-in games a year. But if just Miami in 2014 and 2015, they went 5-19.
Yep.
And Miami in 2016 to 2022, they went 40-40. And then Miami the past 3 years from 23 to 25, they've gone 27-15. So they have slowly but surely made their way up, and they've won the MAC a couple times with Chuck Martin.
Yes.
Miami is arguably the premier program of the MAC just because of the amount of times they've won the conference.
Right.
And how consistently, at least one every 5 years, it seems like they win the conference. We saw it firsthand in 23 where they beat arguably the best Toledo team since,
Ever.
Yeah, since the 70s.
You could argue since Chuck Ely. Yeah.
Since Chuck Ely, yeah. But they have the floor for this team is 7 wins and a MAC runner-up every year. It just, I fully expect this team to be consistently good, and I fully expect Miami to be playing, or at least fighting to be playing in Detroit. So yeah, I have Miami at number 2.
Crazy how a school down there in Little Oxford, Ohio, is really the truest like real power in the MAC.
Also, real quickly, a guy to watch out for next year. They had a transfer from Monmouth and Rodney Nelson,
Yes,
who rushed for 1,800 yards last
Rodney
year
Nelson,
and
I
18
mentioned his name.
touchdowns.
Yeah,
He's going to be really good.
yeah. Miami's still going to be a force to be reckoned with. It's just quarterback play. That's really what it is.
Yep.
Their quarterback play. I mean, I watched Garrett Gilbert's leg snap in half against Toledo when I was down there calling games.
That was bad. Yeah.
In 23, so that wasn't pretty. But obviously, the DeQuan Finn experiment coming back to the MAC after leaving Toledo did not work out. So let's see if Miami has better quarterback play this year in 2026. Number 2 for me is the Chippewas, CMU, Central Michigan, Mount Pleasant. Matt Drinkle was very good in year 1, and I expect this team to improve even more on it in year 2. Obviously, they did lose Joe Labus, who was starting quarterback last year. Angel Flores is expected to go into that quarterback 1 spot this year. Dual threat guy, of course. That's kind of what you expect at Central Michigan with Matt Drinkle. It's going to be a lot of option. It's going to be a lot of ground and pound.
Yep. Old style football.
And now you're expecting a guy in Brock Townsend to step into the running back 1 role. He still was a very serviceable running back in this offense last year. He will now be the starting running back into this year. You are returning one of the better wide receiver duos potentially in the MAC in Langston Lewis and Tommy McIntosh, if they can touch the football, obviously. With other programs having question marks, Central Michigan to me doesn't really have that many.
Yeah.
And I fully believe in this program to potentially play for a MAC title this year, potentially win the MAC this year. I'm very high on the Chippewas, and honestly, the MAC might run through the mitten completely this season. With all the Ohio schools that the MAC does have, it's very likely that this conference runs through the state of Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, we both have the number 1 team in the MAC, and that's Western Michigan. The Broncos, with winning the MAC last year, the way they did it, with having Jalen Buckley back, I will say their biggest reason for last year's surge, their biggest year for winning the MAC last year, they've lost those 2 reasons with losing defensive coordinator Chris O'Leary and Nadame Tucker, both to the Chargers.
Ironically. Yeah.
And they've lost all 9 of the linemen and linebackers with 200 plus snaps last year, which is rough.
Yes.
But I got to tell you, I like Lance Taylor to me is a very good coach. I trust this dude a lot. Yeah. They got a lot of transfer guys. A guy that I would watch out for would be KJ Burley. He was and people aren't going to know who this guy is. He was at the NAIA level. He recorded 55 tackles at Kaiser University last year. 15 were behind the line. He had 5.5 sacks, and he was their best player on defense. Western Michigan is going to have a good defense again this year. They did lose, like I said, their top 2 reasons why they were so good last year. But I trust this team a lot. Their offense is going to have Jalen Buckley back, who is arguably the best running back in the MAC.
He's the best running back in the MAC right now. He is, for sure.
And they're having their new coordinator, Greer Martini, who was last year's linebackers coach, take that defensive coach in general. They got top transfer pass rushers in DeJuan Eccles from Ball State and Austin Alexander from North Carolina, as well as I talked about KJ Burley and Scoop Gardner Jr. from Long Island. They both combined for 29.5 tackles for loss last year between Burley and Gardner. And I think that this team's going to be the best in the MAC. They have a lot. They don't have a ton of returning guys on that defense, but they have brought in a ton. And I also trust Lance Taylor a lot to make sure Western Michigan and the MAC runs through Kalamazoo.
The MAC does, in fact, run through the zoo. Waldo Stadium. The Western Michigan Broncos have to be number 1 in your power ratings entering the season. Obviously, things can change. Obviously, the season can play out as it does, and who knows? Maybe some guys go down and get injured. Who knows? Maybe the offense isn't as good as we expect it to be. But on paper, heading into the year, with Brock Lowry back, Jalen Buckley back, 4 of their starting offensive linemen from last year back. Of course, you do have some question marks a little bit on that defense with everything as you stated, but there's not a reason why Western Michigan shouldn't be considered the favorite to repeat the MAC this year. And like I said, I fully am expecting this conference to potentially run through the mitten. We haven't seen that happen in a minute. We have not seen 2 Michigan schools be playing against each other necessarily in a MAC title. Has that even ever happened? Has a MAC title game been 2 Michigan schools? I think this year it's a legit possibility. And I've never felt more confident in that than right now. I want to look that up. We're going to look that up, Spence. We're going to find this out because I want to know. But Western Michigan this year, you can't, after what they did last year, they have to be the favorite. They have to.
They are the consistent team this year. So they're the team that I trust a lot, and they went out there and completely obliterated Kennesaw State in their bowl game too.
Yeah.
So they also finished the season winning the MAC and on a high note, as well as winning their bowl game against a team who won their conference as well. So
it has not happened, by the way. A MAC championship game has not had 2 Michigan schools. And so I'm going to predict that. We are going to have that happen for the first time this year. Western Michigan, Central
Western
Michigan.
versus Central.
Western versus Central in the MAC title game. You've heard it here first, folks.
In Eastern Michigan, in Detroit, which is the eastern part of Michigan.
There we go. It's going to happen. Shout out my brother Adam Jaska up there at Central Michigan. I told you I was going to give you all love. Central Michigan's coming for it. I'm just saying. But that's been the best conferences preview. We are finally done with our G5, G6, G24. How many group of 5 conferences we're going to have moving forward, who knows? We're done with those previews. But we're finally getting into the Power 4 here moving forward. Once we get into the month of July, you can really start smelling the football air coming back in the month of July, can't you? You feel it. You feel it really prevalent. Slowly but surely is the words of the day, if you will. That's going to wrap up this episode here of the Scoop and Score Football Show. A little bit shorter than what it has been for us recently, so I know our editor appreciates that. Shout out to Dyllie. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, as I said previously. Over 99% of you who are watching this, obviously if you're listening, you should also follow us too. But if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe please, because over 99% of you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel in the last month. So please do that. Hit the push notification bell to stay up to date on all of our new videos, all of the short form content we have coming your way. We have more and more rolling out by the day. And go follow us on our social media pages at Ball N Beatz Media, on Instagram, on X, on TikTok. And also DM Spencer gifts of jail cells right now. Just do that. Just gifts of jail cells because of the fact that his defense really is that locked down. Okay, his Lions defense is that locked down, as we know, and that's okay.
Not great.
It's not great, but it's fantastic. And for that, as Spencer sips out of the worst fast food restaurant cup,
Nope. Not
we
even
will
close.
see you guys next week, and take care. Peace out.
Peace.